Alrighty, so worksheet 3E. We're going to continue with talking about slope and intercepts, but the first thing we're going to do is a new part, which is unit rate. Okay, and rate is another way to say slope, just so you're aware. Okay, but specifically, a unit rate is a ratio, which is a fraction, of two measurements where the denominator, oh, there's a little typo there, sorry, where the denominator is 1. Okay, so when I say find a unit rate, if you tell me 3/4, no good. We want the denominator to be 1. Is that clear to everybody? Okay, so make sure we understand that. So let's look at our first example. We need to calculate the unit rate, and we need to make sure to use labels. So it says it costs 44 cents to mail a package that weighs 1 ounce. Calculate the cost per ounce. So what that means is cost is my numerator, ounce is my denominator. Okay, so our cost is 44 cents. Per means the fraction bar, 1 ounce. So if I look at that fraction, guys, is that a proper unit rate? Is the denominator 1? It is. So we're done. There is my unit rate, 44 cents per 1 ounce. Basic. Questions? All right. Another basic one. Number 2, it says calculate the cost per pound. So cost is on top again. This says 79 cents. Per is our fraction bar, 1 pound. You can use pound, or as everybody know, the symbol LB means pound, but we want to make sure we have labels either way. Don't just write 79/1. Any questions so far? Okay, let's look at number 3. Number 3 says it takes 5 hours to travel 260 miles. Calculate the miles traveled each hour. So what's on top? What label is going to go on top? Calculate the miles per, yes, miles per hour. So we're going to have miles up top. Right now they're telling me 260 miles. So we're going to put that up top. In the denominator is going to be our hours. And right now we have 5 hours. My question to you, though, is that a unit rate? Yes or no? Is this a unit rate?
No.
No. Why, Tim?
Because it's not over 1.
Exactly. Our denominator is not 1. So this problem has some more work to it. How do I make that 5 become a 1? We divide it by 5. And if I do that in the denominator, what do I have to do? Do it to the numerator. Okay, so that's where we actually do that out. 260 divided by 5 gives me 52. Now keep your labels. So 52 miles per 1 hour. And that's the answer. Okay, so if the denominator is not already 1, to make it a unit rate, we have to make it a 1 by dividing by whatever that denominator is. And if you do it to the denominator, do it to the numerator. Okay, let's do number 4 together. You can read 168 pages in 6 days. Calculate the pages per day. So pages is up top. So 168 pages per 6 days. Let's hear from somebody besides Tim. What are we going to divide by for this one? Come on, guys. If you've been listening, this is a very easy answer. 6. Good job. Okay, and good. People in the message, at least. So we don't want a 6 in the denominator, we want a 1. So we divide by 6, and I do that to top and bottom. Okay, so 168 divided by 6 gives me 28. So 28 pages per 1 day. Any questions at all with unit rates? So the two things to watch for: read what they're asking so that you know what goes up top and what goes on bottom, right? It's not always the first number goes up top. It's based upon the label. So on number 5, it says meters per second. So meters is up top, seconds is on the bottom. Okay? And if that denominator is not 1, then we have to make it a 1. Are there any questions right now? Okay, please flip your paper over. Okay, I'm going to let you try some of those on your own in a minute. But if you can please flip your paper to 9 and 10 so we can just remember how to do a little bit of this. We'll do number 9 right now. So this is review. Number 9, we're determining our x and y intercepts and our slope. So for our x-intercept, we can highlight that, right? X-intercept is on the x-axis. Always x value first. So 3, 0. Our y-intercept is our y-axis. So where am I crossing up and down? I'm crossing right here. And that too is at 3, but we have to write that as 0, 3. Now, when I classify the slope, that's with the vocabulary: positive, negative, 0, or undefined. So what is that line doing? Is it going up or down?
Down.
Down, right. We read left to right. So it is negative. Which means when I write my slope, I better have a negative answer. When we do that counting of the slope, we can literally go from the 2 points I highlighted or any 2 nice points. So remember, I could start up here where I'm putting the orange, and I could just go to this next point if I wanted to, because that's a nice point. So that's going down 1 over 1. Or we can stick with the y-intercept and x-intercept, and I can see I'm going down 3 and over 3. So it's your choice, but we just want to pick nice points. If you picked the ones that are already highlighted, then just remember, right? If I say down 3 over 3, don't leave it like that. Reduce it, right? That really means negative 1 over 1 or negative 1. Either of these answers is acceptable. Don't leave it as 3 over 3. Any questions there? Is everybody doing okay with those types of problems? Okay, let's keep on going. Again, we're going to do a handful of them together, and then you're going to go back to practice those on your own. So stick with us. Everyone should have 9 copied. If not, I know you haven't been with us. So let's go now down to 13. Okay, so 13 says find an x-intercept. Who can tell me? Let's see, I've heard from Tim and Ashley. So let's hear from somebody else. And if it's in the chat, that's okay too. How do I find an x-intercept? How do we find an x-intercept? This is what we... Good. Who was that? I couldn't hear. I couldn't see. Ben, nice. Yes. So plug in 0 for y. Make that y 0, he said. So we plug in 0 for y. So let's do 13. That means I leave 4x minus 2, but now that y becomes a 0. And good, Rory, I saw your message. So now we simplify. This is saying 4x minus 0. That just gives me 4x. And so to get x alone, we divide by 4. Remember to write your answer as an ordered pair. Don't just circle 3 here. It's 3, comma, 0. Any questions with that? All right, let's skip 14. Let's do 15. Everyone should be able to answer this now. How do we find a y-intercept? Let's hear from someone else. Good, Mac. Plug in 0. And she messaged me. I'm not just making up random voices in my head. But we plug in 0 for x. Okay? So we'll have negative 3 times 0 plus 4y equals 10. 0 plus 4y equals 10. 4y equals 10. Now to get y alone, we divide by 4. Is that a nice number? No, but we can reduce that, right? 10 over 4 are both divisible by 2, so if I divided both of those by 2, we get 5 over 2. Right? 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Again, write that as an ordered pair. At this time, the x comes first, which is 0, and then that y, which is 5 halves. Any questions so far? Okay, so this is, besides the unit rate at the very beginning, this is all review. And so, this is a good indicator of how you're doing in preparation for your assessment on Friday. Okay? All right, and then let's do one more together. Okay, we'll do number 17 together. So this one is where we're finding our x and y intercepts and a test point. So let's start with this. Everybody go ahead and find your x-intercept and your y-intercept. Put your answer into the chat, okay? So find your x-intercept, find your y-intercept, put it into the chat. If then you remember how we do the third point and graph, go ahead and do that as well. But I want to see everybody's answers for x and y-intercept. Go for it. I'm kind of seeing a mixed variety of answers here. So keep submitting, but don't move on to graphing yet, okay? Because only a couple people actually have this correct. Remember to also write them as ordered pairs, okay? So I'll give you guys another minute for x and y intercepts, but then just pause before graphing because you want to make sure it's correct. Let's hear from some more folks. Good job, those that are participating, even if it's wrong. All right, so let's check these. Lots of you guys participated, still looking for some other people to get engaged here. But for our x-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for y. So I'm just noticing some sign issues for some people, and then a few people are kind of just completely off. So we plug in 0 for y, and now we solve for x. So how do I get x alone? We're going to have to subtract 4 to both sides. Is that clear to everybody? Subtract 4. 0 minus 4 is negative 4 equals negative x. We still have that negative x there. Okay? So x isn't solved for. How do I get rid of that negative x? We divide through by negative 1. And now a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, so what does that mean? My x-intercept is 4, 0. Let's do our y-intercept. Our y-intercept, we keep y, but we plug in 0 for x. So I have y equals negative 0 plus 4. What's negative 0? It's just 0, right? So this is still just saying 0 plus 4, and 0 plus 4 is 4. So we also get positive 4, but remember that ordered pair is 0, 4. So it's actually 2 different points. So good job. There was a handful of you that got those correct. Good job. And then there was a handful of you who had some sign issues. Okay, now we have to find our test point. So what's the ideal value to choose again, everybody? What's it? 1, yeah, 1 or 2. Can we use 1 or 2? Absolutely this time, because look at the x values I just circled. It's a 4 and a 0. So 1 and 2 are fair game to still play with. Let's do 1, okay? So for my test point, I'm going to choose x equals 1. And I plug it into the equation. So it'll be y equals negative 1 plus 4, right? Y equals negative x plus 4, so I plug in a 1. But that negative is there because the negative was out front. And what's negative 1 plus 4? It's positive 3. So what's the ordered pair? We plugged in a 1, and we got a 3. Now we actually plot all of those points. So 4, 0, the x-intercept, is right here. 0, 4, the y-intercept is up on the y. And then 1, 3 is here. And look at those 3 dots. Will those connect in a nice straight line? Yes, they will. So now we connect them with our straight edge, which means since they're connecting, we must have done things correctly. And there we have it. Any questions?